I haven't done qualitative research for a long time, so I can't remember the exact details. There was a question I saw today, which was about the difference between mixed methods and multi-methods. And I think there's a technical difference there, that mixed methods are ones that use both qualitative and quantitative research methods, whereas multi-methods just use more than one kind of method. So it might be two qualitative methods, it might be two quantitative methods. I think that's the difference in a technical term. I may be wrong, but that's the way I've understood the difference. Triangulation then can come from either. So triangulation is just about, it's actually a term that I think comes from GIS, so from satellites, where you use 3 different satellites to exactly pinpoint where you are in the Earth. So it's about using lots of different methods to check that the answers you're getting from one method make sense in lots of different ways. So it might be that people who are being interviewed give you the sense of one thing, but actually when you survey them, it's something different. So that's how you start to triangulate, or the census data might be different to what people think. Yeah. And as soon as all of your methods line up, that's when you know you're at roughly the right answer.
Something I have seen is that when you do research and you send it out for review, or perhaps when you're applying for a PhD or you're looking for funding, people will say, if you're proposing a predominantly qualitative piece of work, oh, you must do triangulation because you need to have some kind of quantified work within that. And I suspect sometimes triangulation isn't properly understood. I think Phil explained it really well, in that if you want to be sure of an answer, you might use a couple of other sources. So you might use a survey and a focus group and perhaps an audit of some kind, or some other way of working to try and show what you're finding is fair and accurate. But I think sometimes if people aren't sure about a particular method, they'll ask you to triangulate it, because what they're really saying is, we don't trust what you found with this method. So if you use this usually more quantified method, it therefore becomes more accurate and true. And I'm quite cautious about that, because I think it doesn't necessarily explain it. And sometimes you can point to other areas instead of having to go through a very laborious task of doing lots and lots of different checking. So you might do a focus group, but you know from the literature review that we've already talked about and how important that is already informing a great deal of your thinking, and you're going to try and do something else that just takes the literature a bit further forward. Because I have heard of people getting really into tricky situations of taking on much more research than they can, or being told that what they've done is limited and they must triangulate. I think it's fair to say, actually, I have done this piece of work, or I'm proposing this piece of work, and I'm going to do that here. And if other people would like to triangulate it, or if I want to take it further in the future, then I will. But I might not necessarily do that now, or it may not even be needed. So I think it's just about, it's not to say don't bother, it's about, it's a tool. So is it the most appropriate tool to explain what's going on?